Hello and welcome. In today's video we've got something a bit different. We've got an RGD stereo turntable. Picked this up as a job lot of bits and pieces off eBay. We're going to get into it, give it a try straight off and have a little look. When we look at the inside, it's actually quite clean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to readjust you and put you above it. Okay, let's see what we get. Obviously a lot of crackly controls. Got some hum going on, which may or may not be down to capacitors. We'll look into that in a bit. Let's see if this thing even plays.
Jerry, who runs the wine shop, reminded me tonight I really am an artist, 'cause he likes the way I write. And though I never sold mine,
Okay,
he thinks it's really good.
that's not, well, it is functioning. There's a lot of crackle on things. When I'm touching the controls, it's humming, but the actual speed and all that sort of stuff sounds okay.
And I give it from the heart.
And we're actually able to play this because this is not on any of the, this isn't showing up on YouTube and causing problems, so that's kind of cool. There's only a couple of tracks on here that I can play. This is one of them. So I think what we'll do, we'll turn this off. I think we'll take the covers off here and let's gain access to the amplifier and have a look at what we've got. It is a transistor amplifier, so it's not going to be anything too amazing as far as cool looking things. Right. Out these gently. These probably go into little star fittings. It's been many a year since I've took one of these apart. Yeah, cardboard. Okay, over that side all we've got is a 6x9 loudspeaker. So we'll do the same with this side, and I think I'm going to take the screws out of the amplifier as well. I wonder whether this has got a separate transformer or whether it uses the windings on the motor to produce the voltage for the amplifier. Be interesting to find out. Pressure on there. Okay. It's got its own power supply. I've got a good idea before I start sticking my fingers in it. Okie dokie. So we have a germanium amplifier. But look at this, the way that this can all be disconnected. These are the loudspeakers. I'm going to stick my head out and say that this is the pickup and this is the power coming in. We've got a selenium rectifier here, A couple of 640 volt megafarad capacitors here at 25 volts. So what's this running on? Maybe 12 volts, 14 volts. We'll stick a meter across it and find out. So is this a centre tap transformer? I'm not entirely sure what we've got going in. So the live's going out to that. So yeah, it's a bridge rectifier. Little lamp in there maybe. What we got? 6 volt. I doubt you're going to see that, but that's a 6 volt lamp. Screwing. I think I've got some 12 volt ones somewhere. A couple of these capacitors are looking a little on the tired thing. 100 mic. We got 640. 16 volt. I can't see there. So 640. I'm just having a look, see if I've got any 640 mic capacitors. I'll go and have a look in a minute. There's half a dozen capacitors on here, 2 capacitors here, so I think it makes sense to recap this amplifier. I'm not the biggest fan of recapping electronics just for the fun of it. So hum wise, let's have a look at the hum. I'm going to plug this back in and mind my fingers. So there's our hum. Interestingly, the hum is staying there when the power's off. Now, that means that it's not a hum that's coming through the power supply. So I'm wondering if we've got something like an earth wire off. I need to grab a flat-ended screwdriver and we'll have a little look in that and see what we can find. Earth's there. It's connected up, look. I think it's an old Crabtree or an old Ever Ready plug or something. Ever Ready. Gonna have to put a new plug on this. I was planning on putting a new mains lead on it, but it's got brown and blue, so I'm not going to muck about. What I am going to do just check there's earth continuity, and there is. So it could be the shielding to the turntable that's not right. We'll have to look into this a little deeper. So let's have a look at these connectors. These connectors can get mixed up. So I think what we'll do is we get a Sharpie and put a couple of notes on them, maybe like 1, 2 and 3 on them, and that way then we won't get them plugged back in the wrong place. But I do feel as though these capacitors want changing. So let's mark these. We'll call that 1. Incoming power supply we'll call 2. This one we'll call 3. And this big one in the middle I'm not going to bother marking because, well, so hang on a second then. Let's give this a little try. Let's just plug the power back into it and the speakers. And have a little yeah, one of them. Okay, we're unplugged. So what do we need to do to free this? But the power going back out to the turntable there that we can disconnect. Now my question is, is there some sort of earthing to the turntable? We'll have a little look in a second. Let's just put that out of the way. Now, being a BSR turntable, they release like so. I'll show you the mechanism in a second. Okay, there's the turntable free. As we can see, it is a BSR. When these go through the hole, they clip over like that, and that stops them pulling out. Just have a quick look at the shielding here and just check the continuity on it. On some of them they actually put a pair of phono sockets here. I've seen that in the past. So let's just check that. Yeah, it's grounded. Okay, that's not a problem there. So this is got a switch built into it. Oh yeah, the switch there turns the motor on and off. Quite clean under here. Generally the whole turntable's quite clean. That might turn out to be a bonus, because that might be one of the keys for the lock on the top. We'll find out shortly. I'll have a look. It hasn't got a lock, so oh well. Right. It's going to be quite difficult for me to free this up because of the way it's designed. So what I want to do now is find out the value of these capacitors, and then we'll whip them out and we'll change them. I'm just having a little look on the bottom of the board to see if I can see any dry joints or anything like that, and it looks okay. That looks pretty clean. Obviously all of these potentiometers are going to need a spray with some switch cleaner. 0.01 microfarad. So I think that's going to be the way forward. Change, 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 change. If I've got them, I'll change them. If I've got some of these, I'll change them. I'm going to have a look, see what I've got. So here's the amplifier. Going to change these two here. Amazingly, these tiny little ceramics. These are just going to be changed for standard capacitors. So these were 640 originally. I'm going to put a 680 in, because just what's made these days. So let's start these four. I'm going to keep hold of these just in case they don't work. These are non-electrolytic, so I believe, yeah, and look at that, you can see how they're made, they're just wound round. And back in the day, non-electrolytic capacitors were huge. Obviously don't want to melt that, and I'll just get my little desoldering pump and just pop that off there. Don't want that mess everywhere. Okay. Let's put them in there. A model P20, so I'm going to take a guess. This thing is 10 watts a channel. So we'll solder them in and then cut them off with little sharp cutters. Do one leg at a time, that way then they don't fall off. I just want to make sure there's no solder there. Okay, give us a sec before we do next ones. A bit of light on the subject. Okay, let's do these ones first. Now, when we look at these capacitors, we can see there's a plus down the bottom here and a stripe here. So that means that that's negative, that's the positive. So what I'm going to do for my own reference is I'm just going to put on the board, they're both the same way round. I'm just going to put a plus on both, just so I don't make any mistakes. I do hate solder suckers. I'm going to give up and go back to using mop. Let's take them out and give it a go again for cleaning up. Oh, it's such a dreadful tool. Going to end up with bits of solder everywhere. Just what you need inside an amplifier. Okay, long lead is the plus. So hopefully these will go in quite tidy. Obviously I'm replacing radio with coaxial. So it coaxial, radial, whatever, whichever way round they are. Again, this is just what's available in the UK. Number one, and number two, what I've got available to me on the shelf. Again, I'm getting the iron is very hot, and I'm just trying to minimise the amount of time that I'm keeping the soldering iron on the work. These ones here are next. Again, this is the plus, this end is the minus. So we'll do again, little plus, little plus. Oh, it's the decoupling capacitors for the speakers. These cause a reduction in volume when they go, and a reduction in clarity. And they're one of the things that's overlooked quite a lot, especially in vintage audio. One of the things that I have come across with these is when you talk to people that have got old amps and stuff, they're like, oh no, we haven't bothered changing the capacitors, we like the sound of it because it sounds original. No, it doesn't. Again, a couple of them in there. In place. Finally, this one here. Plus at the bottom, there's a bit of swelling on this one. This one looks like it's the input capacitor on the power supply, because there's only one, and the positioning in the middle. 100 mic. Good for a 1/10 of an amp. 2.5 watts. Maybe. Yeah. There we go. So okay, that's the actual amplifier board redone. Next I'm going to do these. These are 640 microfarads at 40 volts. Now, I'm actually going to put 680s in at 35 volts. I'm confident to do this because I put a meter across here and I've confirmed that the power supply runs on 24 volts. So it's within spec of the capacitors. And I think probably what's happened is this was what was available when this thing was made. I don't normally like reducing the voltage on capacitors, but needs must. Now, get rid of them. Neutral at this end, positive at this end. It's interesting, they put a slow charge on it. I suppose it's going to stop fuses blowing and stuff. Hello multimeter. A couple of resistors coming off here that run the lamp. I was going to chuck an LED in there, but if I put an LED in there, the resistance limiting that's in place at the moment won't work because of the fraction of the amount of power that the LED uses compared to the original incandescent lamp. So I'm going to leave that alone. Put a fresh bit of solder on there and do a very, very poor job of soldering that onto there. And do the same here with this one. Great little multimeter, but it really likes reminding you it exists. Just going to twist them together and see if we can alter this bracket a little bit within reason. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so that is all of the capacitors in this replaced. Next thing I want to do is give each of these a squirt with some switch cleaner. Let me grab some of that. way. Just getting in with the hole there. And a bit of work. We'll know if that's worked. Okay, that one hasn't got a hole in it, so let's go through the little hole here again. This one's got a hole in it. Really still quite stiff. Again, and make sure it actually gets in there. Okay, not much left in that can. Hopefully I've got enough in there to have an effect. We'll find out in a moment, because what we can do is we can plug the speakers back into it and give it a function test. So let's open this back up. We've got our 2 wires for our speakers, one with a number 3 on it. And yeah, we can plug that back in, turn it on. Still a lot of crackle there, so let's give it another shot. I'm going to give it another go off screen and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, that's pretty much got the hum and the crackles, so there's a small amount left there, but at the moment I don't have the pickup connected up, so let's plug that back into place and then I'm going to offer the amplifier back in. Before I do that, I'm going to unplug that because I've got to put a little screw back in there to hold the amplifier. The cord grip on the amplifier. So I'm going to put that back in now, in the back corner. So that's at the back here, look. That was bound to happen, wasn't it? So this is just screwed into the side here. I just want to get that to start there like that, so the wire goes round where it used to go. Yeah. Just finish that off. There we go. Right, what we need to do is connect up these 2 cables here before we put back together. One brown, one blue. Just colour match them back onto this block. Place that back in there. let's put the record back on and see how it sounds. Right, there's still a hum on this damn thing. I kind of think it might just be one of those things.
Jerry, who runs the wine shop, called me an artist. It's the first time I ever thought of me that way. Walking down an alley, we passed a sleeping man. He's an artist, Jerry said, doing the best he can.
Now, what I'm just picking up on there is the one output channel is considerably quieter than the other. So I'm just wondering if there's any issue with the pickup itself or the connections to the pickup. No. Come on, off you come. No, both sides of the pickup are working. It's just a little better than it was. Maybe one of the wires weren't quite on.
We passed a sleeping man.
That's better.
He's an artist, Jerry said, doing the best he can.
Okay. In all fairness, replacing the capacitors in it have not really made any difference. What I do want to do is just give this a little clean underneath here and possibly just drop a few drops of oil on. Yeah. A little bit gummy. So let's give that and that just a tiny little bit of WD on the centre of there, on that bearing and on that shaft. Oh, that's better. Right, let's try auto. Okay, at the end, okay, that's working. It's just a little bit hummy, but I think to a point it's what it is. You know, it's not the potentiometers. What I find quite interesting is it's humming even with stuff disconnected. So it could just be that there's more interference in the air these days from this, that and the other, or something on my bench is interfering with it. We'll get a bit of a clean up, and I think it's probably going to go on eBay for somebody nice and cheap to have a play with. You know, but it does function and it does play. Let's give it a clean. What I am going to do before getting into cleaning anything is just put these panels back on. One goes there, one goes on the other side. I have got a little bit of a thought on the buzzing that we're getting, and what I'm going to do in a minute is grab a crop clip and connect the ground off the stylus here just back to the body, and just make sure that it is earthing out correctly. So let's put this to here, and I'm going to put it to the earth conductor there. No difference. I don't know. I don't know what's causing that. I think this is a semi-fail, semi-sort. It plays, it works. It is what it is. Well, I hope this has been interesting to watch, and you've got some insight from it, and have a look at some of the other stuff, and please subscribe, etc. I'm going to put this back on here. Made in Kent, Collister Brands Limited. Cool. Thank you.